The wild unknown. Place can eat a man alive. Place is so raw, even the Calamity couldn't cook it. Not all of it. Pecker's got the core, like they're building a Bastion of their own. The welcoming committee scrambles to attention. Didn't expect the kid so soon. By now, kid's got more needles in him than a stab weed. They shouldn't have let their guard down. The core's right there, itching to come home. Getting that core was one thing. Getting out's gonna be another. He digs his way out of the clearing, but the wilds won't let him go without a fight. Wallflowers survived the Calamity. It toughened them up. Don't ever turn your back on a pincushion. Kid's roused up half the wilds by now. Then kid gets the feeling he's being watched. Not by me, by a lunkhead. And lunkheads ain't fond of two-legged animals. The Calamity must have scrambled their eggs. The wilds already reclaimed this place. He's anxious to get back. After all, he's got the final core. His journey's over, right? Well, no, it ain't. Not by a long shot. Kid knows something's up when we ain't there to give a warm welcome. See, Zolf and I were just wrapping up a heated discussion. Zolf can barely muster the words. The Calamity failed, he says, but I will not. And with that, Zolf leaves us here, alone. When Zolf got through reading that journal, he just snapped, started smashing up the monument till I tried to stop him. Zolf cursed the city, cursed the Bastion, cursed me, said he was going home. Zolf banged up the monument pretty bad. But there's a way to put her back together. The shards. We're gonna need all of them to nurse the Bastion back to health. The marshals learned to pack those shells full of fire. Finders keepers. If you're feeling low, count on the buttery flavor of our own Bastion bourbon. A pair of slinger pistols is just the ticket if a hammer's too slow. The city brought the shards to the wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring them back. After Zolf's little episode, Kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jawson Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back. Well, I let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? Zolf put us in a real bind. Hurt the Bastion bad. But the shards can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the Corps' medicine. Shame the only place to fill that prescription is out here in the wilds. This place is intoxicating. Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good for all I know. Wherever he is, somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go. pops him good. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. What do you say to a kid who's seen too much? I'm Zolf of Liura. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now the kid sees something stranger still. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, vine apples, swamp weeds, ankle gators. Now the Bastion can send him even farther, into the wild unknown. Kid sets foot inside one of Ceylondia's famous watering holes. The security's just gonna have to straighten him out. He has the nerve to flash the shield he stole. He's a petty thief. Kid succeeds where the calamity failed. Would you look at what he did to poor old Ronde the bartender? Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world's alright, snoozing there on a rock in the sky. He wakes up. I'm just fooling. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. He sees what's left of Piff, the bull. The gods, they're all undone. He sees what's left of his lifelong friend. His friend, he's come undone too. Thought we'd lost him, but he finally comes to. The shard ain't lost either. Not anymore. Now to find a ticket out of this hole. Disgusting things. Ever heard of a lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say. The breath on that thing, like a scumbag sprung a leak. They say one whiff of lung blossom can make you lose your mind. Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers. That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business. A single shard can breathe new life into this place. The shard's got enough juice to spruce up any of these places. Black rye's like hot pineapple chowder on a cold day. Brings back memories. Takes a lot of moving pieces to make a dependable sidearm. The city tried to use the shards to stake out the wilds. So much for that plan. Ankle gators used to roam the wilds, and they nested at Rothus Lagoon. Many a tale folks used to scare their children straight originated here. All kinds of beasts what don't know up from down, still lurking about. These beasts, they don't like company. Even the brushers learned to fear this place. They used to think that ankle gators were extinct. Well, they ain't. One of them's been living in the tall grass. They called her Queen Anne. Turns out Queen Anne got a hold of a shard. Ankle gators love shiny things. Can't fight Queen Anne without the proper tools. They say you can't hurt an ankle gator unless it's raining, and it ain't raining. The brushers use their pikes to keep their distance around here. Now the kid can do the same. Sharp sticks make Queen Anne nervous, so she backs off a bit. Kid's got a mean throwing arm. Those pin cushions been living off the ankle gator's scraps. Queenie leads the kid into some kind of twisted trap. One bad step in that tall grass and he's Queen Anne's lunch. He holds his ground. Seems the Queen's running out of options. The closer you get to an ankle gator's lair, the thicker the tall grass grows. Kid's gotta make a run for it. That old gator's right on his tail. Queenie must have scared a bunch of peckers out of hiding. Seems even stinkweeds know to stay away from the queen. Ankle gators don't much care for their young. That's why there ain't many around. Wanna know how to find an ankle gator lair? You use a kid as bait. Now she's coming for him. She's got nowhere else to go. The shards sitting in plain view. They say if you run across an ankle gator, you better keep running. She's starting to get annoyed. Made her mad. Rest in peace, Queen Anne. That was for the brushers. Kid's done what needed to be done. Queen Anne's reign is over. We even got a crown jewel. That gator's a crazy gal, but so's the gal who promised to look after her. They said Queen Anne was just a folktale. Now there's living proof she ain't. He's a spitting image of Slinger Jawson with that pike and them pistols. To fix a brusher's pike, you just need a good length of knife bark. Trouble for a single shard, but you know what? It was worth it. Ain't saying much, but that's the greatest forge in all the city. kid packs a special surprise in every one of those arrows. The next shard should be farther out there in the wilds. Know how Caelondia became the richest city in the world? 2 words. Point Lemaine. If the wild could ever be tamed, it was gonna happen right here. The army's triggers once had the place on lockdown. Kid might as well pick up where they left off. Blam! Just like my fighting days. Gun like that can even put the wilds in check. Point Lemaine seen better days for sure, but it ain't done. Whole place shudders in a fit. The grand rail of Point Lemaine, not only is it still there, it still works. Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as he can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks. Grand rails all grown over with things of calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf. Kid don't let so much as one of those things slip by. Lunkheads settled in like they own the place. Takes fancy footwork on the rail, what with wallflowers coughing fungus everywhere. Place used to be closed off, but now it's split open like a rotten pineapple. Of course, the Grand Rails seen much more fighting in bygone times. Near on 50 years ago, first shots fired in the Caelondian War. was right here that Zolf's forefathers decided to mix it up. Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole Grand Rail thing. That was bad. The rail must have shook the Ura to the bone down in those dens of theirs. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. It's still got one good run in store for him, though. All the rotten wood there on the rails turned it into Swamp Weed Central. Ever tried dancing side to side while holding your breath? While choking on swamp weed? While peckers trying to prick you in the eye? Well, let me tell you, it ain't fun. It's the end of the line. He'll be picking swamp weed out of those boots for days. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. Not just another wallflower or pincushion, mind you. At first, he thinks it's Zolf. This is for you, says the man. Then wham! When the kid comes to, the man's long gone, but something else is there. The only words kid recognizes on that parchment are for Zia. Well, what's a kid to do? He took the shard, he took the hit, and he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it? Finding gourmet ingredients ain't easy these days, but we'll take what we can get. The note says it plain. Zia, go east to learn the truth about the calamity and our people. I'll be waiting. Sincerely, Zolf. Zolf's messenger was one of his people. Wonder just how many of them survived, and what exactly Zolf told him. It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place. The arsenal's complete in case we need protection. It wasn't fixed, it was unbroken. The shards are getting harder to find. Not everything blew up in the calamity. Why, Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. Best to keep out of the cauldron. It takes a certain stubborn pride to keep on living in a place like this. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Colford Cauldron. The raw power of the world fell right into our hands. Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here. But we discovered other things we're better off not knowing. The taste of air so hot it sticks to your lungs. The unforgiving scent of sulfurous dirt. All sorts of awful things crawling underfoot. You can cook those things, but you can't eat them. Never thought we'd find so much life in all that ash. The more ash we swept aside, the more life we found. We kept on sifting through the cauldron's secrets anyway. Place as inhospitable as they come. But still we pressed on. After all, when we looked down inside Colford Cauldron, looked down through all the smoke and flames, we saw in there the heart of the world, the heart now laid bare by the calamity. We had to have it. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Charleston Bog. Kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the cauldron. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him. Sure, it ain't the most convenient path. Biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. Well, it ain't polite to stare. Where there's one stink eye, there's always more. The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. Kid don't shed any tears for him, though. With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city. But all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it. It comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. We need an awful big lost and found under the circumstances. We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome sight. They said the wild could never be tamed. If only they could see us now. Stick 'em and cook 'em, or the other way around. Makes no difference. At least it won't get cold around here with that thing around. We spotted a pecker carrying a shard to Mount Zan. You have to think fast to survive the wilds, and none thought faster than the slingers. They could shoot their pistols with the speed of a machine. They knew just when to start shooting and when to stop. Those pistols could spit out rounds just as quick as you could pull the trigger. Learning to hold your fire could be its own challenge. No matter how fast you are, you can always get faster. Well, even the slingers weren't quick enough to escape the calamity. Can't rightly call Mount Zan a mountain anymore. There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go. So they figure they'll hold out right here, on a slab of mountain the calamity forgot. We only found their little lair because they found themselves a little shard. Good thing for those beasts the Calamity saved leftovers. The creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their own. It's a delicate situation. They even drag their children into this. Without a doubt, the situation stinks. Best thing we can do for those beasts right now is put them down quick and clean. Besides, we have to take back what's ours. Even if the beasts of the wilds won't like it. Look at it this way. It's either them or us. But if we win, they win too. Our bastion is everybody's gain, not just ours. Unfortunately, there's no explaining that to a simple beast. Those beasts been hard at work fixing up the place. They've rounded up their survivors, just like we have. They've been searching for cores and shards, just like we have. We just really need their shard. Kid got it fair and square. The beasts of Mount Zan go all out. He's done what's best for him, don't you worry. Don't you worry. We'll all be better off once the Bastion is complete. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it, though. The memorial may be finished, but our part is far from over. Kobe. Piv. Just a couple shards left. The quarry's gotta have one, right? Imagine everything you'd need to build a city like Zealandia. It takes hard work and planning, and it also takes a burstone quarry. The Ura tunnels beneath the quarry must have softened the blow from the calamity. We bought the whole place from the Ura on the cheap. Same goes for its natives, Rattletails. Rattletails ain't the worst of it either, but more about that in a little bit. The quarry came with a lifetime supply of windbags. Windbags smaller than the naked eye can see are nesting in those rocks. Not only are these rocks a source of life, we found that the oldest ones remember things. They're recording everything, all the time. taking it all in. The quarry ain't exactly up to safety standards no more. No wonder all those beasts were drawn to the quarry. The rocks were calling them. Keeping the quarry free from pests turned out to be a problem. Rattletails kept tunneling in to snack on windbags. Without those windbags, the quarry might not have its special qualities. Even stink eyes started taking root in here. Now, why would the Ura sell off such a fascinating place? The Ura always were a superstitious lot. Might be the gods told him the quarry's bad news. On top of that, you know the Ura hated anything above ground. Might be the quarry just got too much sunshine for their liking. In any case, it's fair to say the quarry was a godsend. Those rocks, all polished to a mirror sheen. The largest ones, you know as cores. The smaller ones, we call them shards. The shards got a fraction of core's power, enough to fuel a voyage to the motherland. Well, now the quarry's all dried up. These rocks are much too young to be of use. Remember how I said rattletails ain't the worst thing in the quarry? That honor goes to a beast we took to Colin, Sir Lunky. Massive thing stomped many of our boys. We just couldn't get rid of him. The only thing harder than the rocks in Bastion Quarry is Sir Lunky's head. We never could get stubborn old Lunky to leave the quarry alone. Then the kid hears a voice calling from down the hall. "Are you all right?" it says. It's him. "I've come to warn you," he says. "The Bastion is under siege. Let it fall. You should not go back." Kid hears him, but he ain't about to be deterred. "If that's the way it is," he says, "then I won't stop you. Because my countrymen will." Say what you will about Zulf, but he's a man of his word. His countrymen don't much care for pleasantries, though. Too bad for that. Zulf showed him the way here, and here they came to take revenge. They got inside the Bastion and shut the door. Kid's gotta go in through the back. I should have told him sooner about all this. Unfortunately, they broke in, and they started digging their holes. Something wrong sprung out of those holes, and it's eating away at this place. We tried to stop them, but we needed help. Our baby pecker, he don't make it. Our little squirt, he don't make it. No way out of this, not without a fight. Somehow, some way, he sends those Ura packing. Problem is, it didn't matter. Zulf's plan worked. We find each other as the dust settles. Then I tell him why the Ura came. to get us back for the calamity. It was Ceylandia's master plan to wipe the Ura out. But part of that plan backfired, didn't it? If only Zulf knew the whole story. What were we to think? They must have got her, taken her back to her rightful home. The shards can put this disease in remission, but there's only one cure. We need to finish what we started. Seems the gods recommended this place to all their friends. The sanctuary. If we can build, we can rebuild. The conscience. We haven't lost everything, long as we have that. The slingers. The wilds with their calling. The mercy. The windbags ain't the only beast that drew a bad lot. The culture. A still life of old unwanted keepsakes. He's made a right comfortable bed for all those bullets. That ought to give those dueling pistols a little extra kick. You'd never guess those things been to the wilds and back. Don't want that thing leaving your hands until you decide it's time. Life wine so rich, they say it's brought men back from the brink for one last taste. The city, its riches nothing but fragments now. That'll spice things up next time he gets in trouble. To master the musket, you gotta get rid of the recoil. Now we're looking at some serious firepower.